Welcome back to the Home Cooking Survival Guide for your busy work week. So in part one, which you can see right here, we covered chopping, we covered prep, and we prepped a lot because that's what I do on a weekend. I try to cook as much as physically possible when I have some free time, because when I'm in the flow of the work week and I'm super busy, well then I can take all of that prep work that I took care of and put together some quick meals and execute these awesome work meals, which is what today is all about. Executing these meals and creating the perfect work meals all week long to keep you satisfied, to keep you high on energy, and to keep you healthy throughout your work week. Let's talk about what makes the perfect home-cooked work meal, which is something I'm really passionate about because I've been making meals for my wife and myself for years now to get us through the busy work week. So I've learned a lot over the years, and the things I've learned are definitely you gotta have variety. You gotta keep it unique. This is not meal prepping. We've seen enough meal prep where you're making 15 pounds of chicken or salmon and dividing that up with some roasted veggies. That's not what we're looking for. I'm not a bodybuilder. I will get bored of that quickly. So we need variety. We need balance too. We need to hit all of those different food groups, all of those different tastes, salty, sweet, savory. We need a well-balanced meal so you are satisfied. The amount, we have to nail that, and that is one of the trickiest things to really get down because it depends on how much you eat in the day, it depends on how much you work, how many hours you go to work, how hard is your work, are you sitting at a desk, are you doing manual labor? So this is something that you will develop over time as you start cooking meals at home. We need this food to be able to travel well, and I have some great tricks for that coming up. Of course, we need it healthy. We want energy, we want health throughout the week. That is the key to all of this. When you're cooking homemade food, you get to control what's in it. So this is very easy to obtain at home rather than going out to a store and getting food. And then the last thing, we need this food to be delicious. That is very important and one of the best parts about cooking your own food. Very easy to obtain that, and I think I've got some tricks for extra deliciousness. Before we bring the entire work meal together, there's one more thing I really want to show you because I make it every single week, and it's some variation of a baked good. I kind of freestyle the recipes at this point, and the ultimate goal is to really just pack in as much healthy ingredients into a baked good, so like a healthier version of a baked good. But I'm just using whatever's in my fridge, whatever I have available, and I've made so many baked goods over the years that I'm really just working on ratios at this point. I don't have exact recipes, so hopefully you'll pick up a few tips, a few ideas, but there won't be an exact recipe for this specific treat. So I'm gonna make some muffins, and I usually start off with a base of either banana or sweet potato. I did have some sweet potatoes lying around from the week before, so all I did was I took one of those, threw it in an oven at 450 degrees and roasted it for about 50 minutes. And then when that thing comes out, because it's protected in that skin, it is perfectly roasted in there. You have beautiful sweet potato flesh, and it should peel right away from the skin. You could save some of that, use it for different dishes, but for me, I'm going to smash it up. I'm gonna add some homemade yogurt that we made in part one. Remember that almond meal that we saved from the almond milk that we made? Well, this is the perfect place to use that to add a little texture and a little flavor. Then I'm gonna add some maple syrup. That will be my only sweetener other than the sweet potato. I'll crack in 2 eggs and give that a little mix. We've got our wet ingredients here. Now when it comes to the dry ingredients, I tend to go gluten-free with these baked goods because I eat so much wheat, so much bread already that I can go gluten-free for this. I am gonna do some cocoa powder. I thought that would be nice to take it on a little chocolate route. Sweet potato chocolate sounds good in my mind. And then I'm just searching the pantry for whatever leftover flours I have. I do have a gluten-free blend, just a little bit of that. I've got some oats, some flax meal, some tapioca flour. As long as it's a flour product, it will work fine for the dry ingredients for our baked good. I think I went on the chocolate route because I knew I had these in my fridge. Sprinkle on the chips. Oh yeah. I'll be straight up with you guys. A muffin or like a banana bread, it's the most versatile thing you could take to work. They're so easy to snack on. They hold really well when you transport them. And they're just a delicious little energy bomb if you make them healthy like this. No processed sugars, all really good ingredients in here. These are just gonna be little energy bombs throughout the day. The homemade yogurt, and just yogurt in general, makes them very, very moist, very, very fluffy. And then the sweet potato, that adds another layer of moistness, so they're almost like brownie muffins. And these things too, because they're so moist, when they cool, they might even be better. So as we start to break down what your work meals are gonna look like, and we're keeping in mind all of these elements, a big portion of it is going to be lunch and potentially dinner. This is key. If you are staying at work a little later, you're not just gonna want lunch, you also want dinner, which we will talk about later in this series. And a lot of these lunch and dinner options, if you didn't have time to prep them, which we really didn't do that much prep for these options, they might be coming from leftovers. If you have time at night to cook a little meal, make sure you double it so you can have some leftovers for the next day. That is a great tip. But really this section is just gonna be a nice big meal, like a salad, a soup, a stew, a grain bowl, a sandwich, a pasta, a curry, all of the classics that will fill you up, but hopefully not take you down when you're working. Now breakfast, some say this is the most important meal of the day. I think it's very important to have a healthy breakfast. There are a lot of great options out there. I'm going to be covering a few: smoothie, yogurt, muffins, eggs, fruit. You can even do chia bowl, oatmeal, great options. And then homemade snacks, which I think is one of the most underrated parts people forget about when it comes to work meals. At least for me, snacks are so important because I want the variety, I want the balance. And when I have those cravings throughout the day, and I'm not eating one of the big meals, I don't want to be turning to, bagged chips or the vending machine. I want something there to satisfy that craving, whether it's sweet or salty. So there are a lot of options here. You can just do fruit or veggies, popcorn. You can make homemade energy balls, granola. We covered a few of them in the prep, but we are going to be getting into more snacks throughout this series as well. So what I'm going to do is put together a really well-balanced work meal, like a classic work meal that would get me through, an 8-hour day, using some of the prep stuff we did over the weekend, and then a few new things that I'll be cooking up. One of my favorite meal options for the workday is definitely a smoothie because one, they're super healthy, they're gonna give you energy to get through the day, and two, you can have them at any time of the day, It's a good breakfast, it's a good snack, whenever you just need a quick meal. And Daily Harvest makes amazing smoothies. They are the sponsor for this entire series. They make an insane variety of smoothies, but I really like their Acai and Cherry Smoothie because it works great with a few add-ons. And we already made the fresh almond milk, we already made the granola, so we're gonna customize it a little bit. All you have to do is open up the cup. I'm gonna fill it up to the top with our homemade almond milk, but use whatever nut milk you want, and then give it a blend until it is nice and creamy. So two key transportation tips when it comes to smoothies and acai bowls. You can definitely freeze these for like an hour or even overnight, so when they transport and you get to work, they're ready to go, or you can even put them in the freezer and fridge there. When you're ready to eat them, they should be a good consistency. The other thing is when it comes to granola, if you do want a topping, put that in a little side Tupperware or side jar. So you're gonna transport the granola on its own. So when you get to work, you whip this out of the freezer or the fridge, you pop on a little bit of the granola. That way you have a crispy granola topping that won't get soggy through the transportation process. So I would say my go-to lunch most days is probably going to be some type of salad. And right away when you hear that word salad, you might be thinking boring, which I get. I used to not really like salads, greens and dressing. That wasn't exciting to me. But then I learned how to make a good salad and how to load in a lot of ingredients so you're still getting a healthy meal, but it almost doesn't taste like a salad. And that's what I do for my salads. I load in as much ingredients as possible, so I almost mask the greens. So even though you're still getting the greens, you're not really noticing. So that's what I'm gonna show you guys, how I generally prepare the salads that I make. But for the most part, it's just ingredients that are coming from the fridge. So this is a totally freestyle recipe. Use whatever you have. Of course, we already made the salad dressing in part 1. I'm gonna use some turkey that we made in part 1, and then just kind of get weird with it. I always start off with the actual base, the greens, like you're in one of those salad buffet places. So I have some of those mixed greens from the farmer's market. I like cabbage. Cabbage will really go a long way. And then I have some of that buttered lettuce. So one more element that I find so crucial to a good salad is some type of crouton or fried bread. So if you have some extra bread that's lying around, cut it up into pieces, fry it up in a pan, boom, you've got croutons. But what I love doing is taking my sourdough starter, which I feed every day if I'm not making bread, I'll fry it up into a quick little pancake. Just add a little oil to a pan, pour in some of that sourdough starter, fry it up for a few minutes aside, add a little bit of salt, and you have quick little croutons. It's a little fermentation hack if you're looking to add more fermented foods into your diet. Perfect way to do that. The goal for me is always to get through the workday on homemade food. And I would say one of the sneakiest cravings is that salty craving that comes in a little later in the day. And what we're trying to do is avoid the vending machines at all costs, or just going to the store and grabbing a bag of chips that might take you down. We need energy later on in the day. So I find a really good, just salty, healthy snack, popcorn. Just making some fresh popcorn, a little salt, or even, spice it up a bit. That's a great way to power right through that salty craving. So all you have to do is just throw some popcorn in a pan with a little bit of oil, turn that thing on high heat, and let the popcorn do its thing, and then just hit it with a little bit of salt, and you've got yourself a nice snack. Just a quick little lesson on Tupperware. As you see, I have a pretty wide variety. These things are the best, different sizes of these sort of takeout containers. They're great for just home organization, and you can definitely take those to work, but it is nice to have something like this Tupperware here. Say you have a soup or a stew, you need something that's leak proof, that you can trust. You do not want anything spilling on you, but it's nice to just have a little bit of a variety depending on what size you need or what style. Now there's a very good chance you're asking yourself, well, how do I get the food to work? That's a lot of fresh food. How does it not spoil? I would recommend one of these things. I don't travel too far for work, but my wife does, and I pack her lunch in one of these things. What you do is you put this entire lunch bag in the freezer, and there's actual freezer packs in the lining of this, and they'll stay super cold for a few hours. So I pack the lunch in here, boom, transportation taken care of. So for me or my wife, this might be what a work day looks like of meals. And of course, this is one random day. It changes every week. It's super adjustable. If you're staying longer at work, maybe you need a dinner that would go right here. You can always add on, but I think this checks off everything. There's a lot of variety. It's well balanced. It's super healthy. And of course, it's delicious. So we have our acai bowl here. Granola goes on there when you get to your location. We've got our salad with our sourdough croutons. The salad dressing we prepped on day 1. That goes in your salad. When you get to location, you can dump that into a bowl. That's a good tip, bringing a bowl. We've got our muffins over here. Great breakfast or just a snack. I'll bring these with me if I go out for a few hours and I think I'm gonna get hungry because they transport so well. And then that last little salty craving, boom. That is your work day right there. So I just got back from running around all day. I'm tired, I'm hungry. I don't want to make a full meal, so I grabbed a Daily Harvest bowl from the freezer. I've got some Brussels sprouts and tahini right here. But I am gonna customize it just a bit. I'm gonna add some of the lamb stock that we made earlier. And then just to bulk it up a little bit, why not add some of the lamb meat that came off the bones? Customization right now. This right here is the flavor bomb. It's pretty cool. So you're just gonna dump that in. Oh yeah, a few flavor bombs. I've realized that if you add 1 scoop of stock, that's more of like a thicker stew. 2 scoops will give you a bit of a thinner soup. Add some of this shredded lamb in there. Cut some chives on there because I'm lazy. These Daily Harvest bowls are saving my ass. When you're hungry, you need a quick, healthy meal. These things are awesome, and I love the variety. The flavors are always unique, always different, which is very important for cooking for the week. You need variety of flavors to keep it interesting. And if you guys want to try Daily Harvest yourself, make sure you click the link below in the description and type in the code word BrothersGreen, and you will get 3 free cups off your first order. So there you go. That is one example of work meals that would get me through around an 8-hour day of work, feeling good, feeling healthy. And remember, this series is not about replication. I don't necessarily want you just copying these recipes exactly. The goal is to give you the inspiration and the tools needed so you can make meals that fit into your lifestyle, so you can balance meals for your work life. So hopefully you've learned some tips here and there. And in the next video, in part 3, we're getting into something that I think is so important. One of my favorite skills that cooking can provide for you, especially when you're running low on ingredients towards the end of the week.